Small and inconspicuous. Insects are often reduced to their most basic functions, like eating and producing offspring for the preservation of their species. But in fact, they are highly intelligent, each with a distinct character and personality. The individuality of leaf beetles was something I really didn't expect. Their pinhead-sized brain is a powerhouse. Bees have a great sense of time. We now know that some spiders can both plan ahead and think logically. They need to be good at face recognition. They need to be good at understanding relationships. And in those particular areas, wasps are geniuses. They live among us, observing us, even when we don't notice them. And when we're away, the insects come out to feast. Anything sweet or sugary, they just can't get enough. To us, their behavior might seem pre-programmed. Many don't think insects are capable of intelligent behavior. But more scientists are becoming convinced otherwise. Over the past few years, insect researchers have completely changed our preconceptions about these small creatures. In London, Lars Chitke is researching the behavior of bumblebees and bees. He's considered one of the pioneers of insect behavioral research. We can't measure the intelligence quotient of insects with the same tests as we do with humans. But we can, of course, present them with challenges that test their flexibility. For example, by looking into whether they can count or solve various tasks that are used as intelligence tests for primates and corvids. Lars Chitke uses bumblebees for one of his most important intelligence tests. They live in his institute at Queen Mary University. Many skills, such as caring for offspring, are innate. But would bumblebees also be able to solve a completely new task which a crow could master? Sugar water is added to artificial flowers for an experiment. Then 6 bumblebees are let into the box. Gradually, they each realize that there is a reward to be had here. In step 2, an obstacle in the form of a plexiglass plate blocks access to the reward. The bumblebees can still see it but no longer reach it. Initially, they ignore the thread. The thing about this experiment is that the animal isn't just moving towards a food source, it has to learn a new movement to get to the food, in this case, pulling on a thread. Solving this problem to obtain a reward is something that a bee or bumblebee has never had to do in its evolutionary history. So, will they figure out how to pull on the thread? Bumblebee number 81 gives it a try. After just 3 minutes, she gets it. And the others follow suit. The conclusion, just like clever crows, tiny insects know how to use a tool to get a reward. Very impressive. We knew that people would be surprised. Although he still has many critics, Chitke's research has revolutionized the way we look at bumblebees and other insects. There are around 1 million insect species on Earth. They are invertebrates, and for the most part, they have 6 legs and a 3-part body. One species that was domesticated by humans around 7,000 years ago is the honey bee. A bee colony is also known as a superorganism. Its synergy makes very complex behavior possible. As a community, they can achieve more than as individuals. Together, bees can, for instance, regulate the hive's temperature by fluttering their wings. But keeping it at a constant 35 degrees is only possible with a sophisticated plan. To achieve this, select bees must position themselves in strategic places. Every bee has a clear task. The queen has a less glorious job than her title suggests. She lays the pencil-shaped eggs and inspects the brood combs. She can live up to 5 years and will usually only mate once during her lifetime. Drone bees hatch from fertilized eggs, and worker bees hatch from the unfertilized. A queen can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day. 21 days after she lays the eggs, a worker bee hatches. It struggles to free itself from the brood comb. But as soon as it does, it will have to get to work. The workers set the tone in the bee colony. In summer, 30 to 50,000 of them live together in the hive. After hatching, they take care of hygiene, air conditioning, and feeding the larvae. Later, they guard the entrance against intruders. After 2 to 3 weeks, they turn into field bees and provide the community with nectar and pollen. The males, or drones, have huge eyes. In summer, 2 to 6,000 drones live in the hive. Their whole existence revolves only around one thing. During what's known as the nuptial flight, they fly out with newly hatched young queens and mate with them. Bee colonies are strictly organized, as they have been for the last 100 million years. The bees have an innate sense of how to construct a honeycomb. Each octagonal cell has exactly the same dimensions. There's no need for engineers or construction plans, they simply know how to do it. Still, anyone who studies honeybees intensively will ask themselves if really they do everything instinctively. Thomas Radetzky has kept bees for 40 years and, through the Aurelia Foundation, advocates for a more natural approach. This means allowing bees to build their own honeycombs instead of using man-made ones. His wife, Daniela, shares his passion. It's all fresh nectar, look. Linden. Bees can fly up to 5 kilometers to collect the pollen, which sticks to their bodies. A single bee can pollinate up to 1,000 flowers a day. They bring the nectar back to the hive, where it's stored and turned into honey within a few weeks. The field bees are the life insurance of the bee colony. If they couldn't find their way back, all the bees would starve. That's why they have to be master navigators. When the bees have finished their first stage of life with their hive tasks, they have to get to know the landscape. Up until that point, they've only been inside the dark hive. So, when the young bees fly for the first time, they fly out, turn around immediately, and practically fly backwards. Always looking at the hive while moving away, flying up and down. This is how they get to know the coordinates of the hive. They find their way with an innate navigation system. Bees have a great sense of time and follow the path of the sun, even when it's cloudy. Their solar compass helps them keep their bearings so they can always find home. But can it also work if they're moved to an unknown area in complete darkness? An experiment. 5 field bees are chosen at random and marked with yellow dots. They are placed in a dark box, so they can't use the sun for guidance. Then they are taken 3 kilometers across the countryside by bike. The market square is a foreign environment with hardly any flowers to attract the bees. Here you go, ladies. Will the bees find their way home? Hi Thomas, I released them 5 seconds ago. We've started. It's possible that we've chosen bees that still haven't learned enough about the landscape. This you can't tell just by looking at them. There, she's making 2 circles like the other one. As if she's getting her bearings. Theoretically, of course, a bird could also have eaten them. Bees fly fast, over 20 kilometers an hour. And it's just 1 kilometer flying distance from the marketplace to the hive. There. Cool. All 5 bees find their way home. None of them made it in under 2 minutes. The slowest time was 8:40. This experiment dates back to the 19th century when behavioral biologist Jean-Henri Fabre invented it. But we've only just recently understood how they do it. Like us humans, bees have a virtual map stored in their brains. They can store landmarks such as streams, houses, flowering meadows, paths, and their position in relation to the hive. In flight, they can navigate home perfectly from a new location within their habitat. It's an amazing achievement for a brain just the size of a tiny grain of rice. Still, that brain has 1 million neural connections. In comparison, there are 86 billion nerve cells in the human brain. They process and store images, shapes, language, and experiences, among other things. A close relative, the bumblebee, has a similarly tiny brain. But their intelligence isn't just about the number of neurons. Many insects have a ladder-like ventral nervous cord distributed over their entire body. The different segments, or ganglia, are used to process sensory information and control motor activities. In the head, several ganglia fuse together to form the brain. Neuron stimulation begins in the antennae, which are also receptors of smell, taste, hearing, and touch. 60,000 tiny pores on the antennae absorb scent. From these olfactory receptors, the stimuli go to the first olfactory center, the antennal lobe, where the initial processing takes place. Passing along two nerve cords, consisting of many individual nerve cells, the stimuli reach what's called the mushroom body. Presumably, this is where the central learning and memory center is located. Shapes, colors, smells, landscapes, the bee processes all of this at lightning speed. They only have a few hundred neurons to perform this task. This tiny brain works very efficiently despite its size. When it comes to their behavior or appearance, most people see little difference between individual insects. But couldn't this wasp, for example, be braver than her sisters? She knows exactly how to cleverly free herself from this dangerous honey trap. At the same time, ants of a certain species are able to find the most direct route to a food source. They also have a precise sense of time. When they return to the colony, they bring back with them scents and pheromones. Each ant has a specific function to fulfill in the colony. They work together in harmony, showing amazing group dynamics. Ants are really great at finding paths to food. For example, when they find a food source, they leave a scent trail back to the nest. The longer they walk along that path, the stronger the pheromone signal becomes. If they then encounter other ants, they also smell the pheromone. As a result, more ants begin to follow that trail. And soon there's a long line of ants marching toward the food. In their world, successful cooperation is essential. Ant colonies exist in different forms. Some are nomadic. Others stay in one location and build permanent nests. Those ants build fascinating structures. Their colonies can house up to several million individuals. Individual nest chambers can also have their own climate. But not all nests are built on the ground. Some build incredible constructions in trees. Leafcutter ants, for example, create complex underground labyrinths. They cut leaves from trees and carry them home. When they arrive at their nests, they chew the leaves and feed them to their larvae. In return, they receive food in the form of a fungus that grows in the nest. Many species work together. The colony can even work together to form a giant ball. Termites are also experts in architecture. Termite mounds are a unique combination of mud and plant material that become hard and can be several meters high. Each mound has a complex system of ventilation, keeping the temperature stable. It offers shelter against predators and can house up to 3 million termites. No matter whether insects are tiny or huge, ants or bees, they all have a different kind of intelligence. In some cases, the influence of social structures can even develop a certain level of intelligence that's greater than their individual abilities. The largest animal groups of insects are butterflies. We know that they can also show intelligence. They've been proven to be able to learn a variety of tasks. Butterflies possess a complex nervous system, even if they have only 100,000 neurons. For example, they can learn to associate colors with rewards. Some moths are known for their impressive sense of smell. In the dark, they can smell the scent of their favorite food from several kilometers away. This is especially the case with female moths. The pheromones that they release can attract male moths over long distances. Male moths have about 40,000 olfactory receptors in their antennae. They are capable of sensing even the faintest scents. But how does a tiny creature like a moth even perceive the world? In their small bodies, they have a very sensitive sensor system that absorbs the vibrations of their wings. Moths are also incredibly gifted at camouflage. The eyes of some species can even perceive ultraviolet light. They have a very well-developed visual system, enabling them to distinguish between different types of light. There's still so much we don't know about the intelligence of insects. They seem to have incredible abilities in almost all areas. In a world dominated by humans, they are still the most important animals in the biosphere. Whether bees or ants, each of them has an important function in our ecosystems. They provide us with food, clean up waste, pollinate our plants, and help to form and maintain the structure of the soil. They make it possible for ecosystems to flourish. Even though they are small, they are crucial for our existence. Just because we don't always notice them doesn't mean they are not intelligent.